So, did we watch the movie?
I know it by heart, so.
Okay, there we go. Welcome to Pulp Diction, the podcast where I talk about movies with my friends for an academic obligation. Welcome back to the Pulp Diction podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Gibson, once again joined by Emma Jo Douglas. And Emma Jo, what will we be discussing today?
Today, we'll be watching, or talking about, Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
Oh, yeah. Released 2014 or something, directed by the Russo brothers. And, you know, it's starring Chris Evans, Sebastian Stan, all these fun people.
Mm-hmm. Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie. The second of the Captain America trilogy. And, yeah, for a long, long time, I would have said this is my favorite MCU movie. And, I mean, it's still not far from the top for me.
Mm-hmm.
This was my first time watching it again in years.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, so just because I decided, I wanted to do this because the new one's coming out on Friday, right?
Right.
And so just because I decided, why not go through the first one as well? I don't even remember when the last time I saw that was. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, the first Captain America is super nostalgic for me, personally, because it might have been my first superhero movie.
Really?
Yeah. So I thought it was the coolest thing ever when I was little, and it still is really, really cool. I think it holds up amazingly.
Yeah.
But the second one is it's been my go-to answer for like my favorite MCU movie for a few years now. Mm-hmm. Just because, it's just very different. Because the MCU, it's very like well known for kind of having a general formula in these movies. Like there's some world-ending threat, whatever, and the heroes have to stop them, and they get it at the last minute, whatever. And, you know, just a very clear-cut good versus evil, whatever sort of story. And Winter Soldier, I feel, is very much a departure from that formula.
Yeah, definitely, with the whole government stuff, too.
Yeah, because the threat is coming from within. It's coming from the system rather than fighting against the system.
Right.
And I think that makes for a very interesting story. Very interesting commentary, what with all these themes of corruption and abuse of power. Some of the things like what's his face Zola says are very interesting. Like the people, you can't take freedom from the people. You have to make them give it away willingly.
That's right.
And not to get political, but I think people will say that's quite topical in this day and age.
I would say that. I mean, going crazy.
But yeah, so you didn't rewatch the movie, you just know it?
I've been trying to get my friends to rewatch this one, but yesterday, because, what was yesterday? We had class. But after class, we all came back to our chapter room and everything, and we wanted to watch a Marvel movie. I was like, guys, please, let's do Winter Soldier. Come on. But they were like, nah, let's do the first Avengers, which is one of my favorites. So
it's wonderful.
Fine. Right. And I was like, I haven't seen this movie in a hot minute, but I still know it by heart. It's one of my favorites. So
it's
I'll be fine.
Lovely. No, I've realized, so, like I said, I watched the first Captain America and then the second Captain America. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't going to rewatch Civil War, but I was enjoying myself so much. I'm like, I gotta watch the third one. I have to do it. And I love these movies so much. Like, I didn't realize how much I missed prime Marvel.
Yes,
exactly. Seeing, even the beginning, seeing Tony just being Tony, right? I'm like, I had no idea how much I missed this.
Right,
it's just not, I didn't realize how just comfortable these movies were for me.
Yeah, like watching First Avengers last night, the whole time I was like, God, why did they just go downhill? Like, oh my God, like
Oh,
just the quotable lines they say and
mm-hmm.
everything. Like I was quoting the entire movie the whole time. It
Yeah,
was so bad, but oh my God, it's such a nostalgic feeling. Like
absolutely.
remembering this how I felt first time watching those stuff, and it's like Jesus Christ, I miss that. they
Yeah,
kind of
and
they kind of suck now.
right. We'll see how the new one turns out on Friday. Uh,
I'm gonna be hopeful just a little
I'm
bit.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the first one is very much comfy. Like I said, it was at least one of my first superhero movies, aside from
Mhm.
like The Incredibles. I
Yeah.
don't think I watched Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy until after, but I could be wrong.
Mm.
Anyway, the first Captain America I feel is very like clear cut. That good versus evil. It's very, defined. The Nazis versus the Allies.
Right. Right.
And it's just a really fun, charming, kind of cheesy adventure. It's almost Indiana Jones-esque at times, I feel.
Oh,
Especially
definitely.
with the way they're fighting the Nazis and just some of
Hmm.
the action sequences. It's great. And like looking for an artifact, right? And it's great. It's wonderful. And it's just a great time. But what makes this trilogy so interesting is you have this pretty straightforward superhero adventure in the first one.
Right.
Again, kind of cheesy, but it's really fun, just really charming. And then you
Hmm.
put him in this second movie, where he's gone from the middle of the 20th century, where there are very defined good guys and bad guys,
Yeah.
to the 21st century, this age of paranoia, of government surveillance. This is a post 9/11, even post Watergate sort of era where
Oh,
people
yeah.
just have so much less trust in the government than they did during the war. And so you're putting this almost tool of the system, this person that's never really had reason to doubt his faith in it,
Hmm.
in a position where he kind of has to. He's in direct conflict with the system that made him.
Right.
And it's such a fascinating natural progression. Very good adaptation of like the Ed Brubaker era of Captain America comics with the Winter Soldier and all that. And I mean, it's fascinating. And the thing about the MCU too is like it's not art.
Right.
And
It's
people get
nothing
mad.
perfect.
People get very defensive when someone like Scorsese comes around and says they're not cinema.
Yeah.
But like they're not exactly like it's not like there's thought, a deep amount of thought put behind every shot,
Mm.
or like every line has some meaning.
Right. Right.
They're
Right.
not stuffed with symbolism or anything.
They're just cheesy. It's basic.
Yeah, they're
Talk how like
fun.
every day.
Because what makes these movies isn't the direction or
Mm-mm.
the cinematography or anything. I would say it's not even the actors, it's the characters, the
Yeah.
characterization,
Hmm.
and the way they were for so long, up until relatively recently, able to consistently characterize them in this way that, I mean, it feels consistent and it makes you care about them,
Right.
and you're just getting to watch this unfold, the way these different characters grow, the way they interact with themselves, with each other, they agree, disagree, they have conflict. And I think the Captain America movies show this part of the MCU at their best, with like
Hmm.
the characterization and the growth. uh because in the second one you have, because they're all kind of crossovers. They do a great job at being not only good standalone movies, but good chapters in this
Yeah.
larger story.
Hmm.
Because you have the second one, which is the main one we're talking about, right? Where it's not just about Steve, but Natasha's there too, who he became friends with during Avengers, right?
Yeah.
Right? That's when they met.
Yeah. That's what they meant. Yep.
And like from Winter Soldier, Sam becomes a part of the larger universe, and
Hmm.
Shield is like destroyed, and yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, and with Marvel's like character development stuff, like Bucky's probably like one of Bucky and Loki. I think are
Yeah.
tied for
They've
me.
had some of the best
Like,
arcs, I'd say.
absolutely. Like, you meet him as like just like this happy guy. He's just going to the army. He's pretty cool. And then he like you think he dies and like
Yeah.
it's your typical oh he's just gone. And then all of a sudden here comes the second movie and you're like, holy crap, he's a dude, he's back, he's alive, but
Back.
he's completely different. And you
Who
don't
the
know
hell
how
is
to
Bucky?
feel. Exactly. And you don't know how to feel because it's like you liked him so much in the first movie. Now he's over here trying to kill your favorite character, Captain America. It's like, oh, like who do we cheer for? And with like Shield too, like the first movie, like they were like the good guys, they were literally the army, and now they're with the government, but they're all with Hydra, and so it's like everybody you like is flipping around. And you have no idea how to feel.
Right.
And even
Yeah.
I'll even say like with like Captain like Civil War, like you have no idea how to feel because it's literally a whole war going on.
Yeah, it's like this progression. Like first, they're these clear bad guys, the Nazis. Then the enemy's coming from the government.
Yep.
And then finally, the enemy is his friend.
Right. Yeah. And you have no idea how to feel.
You're seeing him. You wouldn't think like you see the trilogy, and you wouldn't think it's like a super cohesive trilogy, right? Because they seem like they're just kind of placed where they're placed in the MCU timeline, where they're not so much sequels as they are just chapters in the larger story.
Yeah.
But I think it does even an uneducated audience member could view these as standalone and like fill in the blanks well enough, just because the character development and the themes and arcs throughout this trilogy are pretty consistent.
Oh yeah.
Because like we said, the progression between the antagonists. But like this theme, you're taking a man out of time. I mean, first you get to see him, in his prime, I guess you would say, where he's in his basically his element, his natural environment. And then you're taking him out of his natural environment, but he's continuing to fight wars because that's all he really knows how to do, right?
Yeah.
And then finally you're seeing him fight just completely against the whole world, basically, the system that made him. It's like Sharon says at the funeral, the whole world's telling him to move, and he says, no, you move.
Yeah.
And Civil War as well. I watched that earlier today, and like that's just some of the MCU at its absolute best. I miss it, man. I miss it so much. I love it.
It's like bringing them all together and all the new characters, like introducing both Spider-Man and Black Panther.
Yeah.
And just, it's so cool. I just love that one.
The whole airport sequence, I feel like it shouldn't work. It's just a bunch of green screen CGI slop. But like it's the characters. Like I said, it makes you they make you care about them. And that's just it does this so well. Like they have all this dialogue and stuff throughout. Again, showing the relationship between these characters and like realistically how would they interact with one another. And just it's I miss it. I miss it so much.
I miss like the lines that aren't cringy. Because dear God, I remember watching Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
And was just,
it was bad. It was so painful. It was so sad.
There's so many lines. They're just trying so hard. Like, oh yeah, he's quirky, but no, we want the sassy Tony back. Come on, like that was so much better.
No, they never overdid it in the old MCU.
It was perfect.
And now
timing.
It's like
it was perfect sense of humor.
They're trying to turn every character. They're trying to give every character Tony Stark humor.
Right.
When everyone's super, nobody is. Exactly. And the thing is, not everybody's RDJ, so it doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Can't stop it.
And my gosh, like I said before, seeing Tony again, I did not know how much I missed him. I missed his snarky ass. I
literally just watching Avengers, and I was like, he popped up, and I was like, oh, hey man, like, how are you?
Good to see you, bud. Ah, man. But Winter Soldier. There's a lot to love about this one. I mean, the elevator sequence, for example. I think this movie has some of, if not the best action in the MCU, at least just in terms of pure choreography and like viewing these action sequences as a standalone thing, character, whatever aside.
Right.
Because the elevator sequence in particular is so, I mean, it's amazing. It's probably the best fight scene outside of like the Netflix shows in the MCU.
Right.
Because, I mean, you take him, you put him in this super confined space, just fighting an elevator full of people. It's so simple, but it's so brilliant.
Yeah.
And so intense. Ah, man. And, you know, the way they're shooting it too, it's all these tight angles. You can really feel the, what's the word? Claustrophobia of the situation. And I don't know, it's just, you're getting a feeling like he's really, just everything's stacked up against him. But he can do this all day, you know?
Right.
And we love him for it.
The scene where he first fights Bucky on the road, it's so, like, the camera's moving so fast and everything. It's changing shots. Usually I hate when movies do that.
I'm not a big... I loathe shaky cam. I think they
but I think
were easy enough on it. Yeah, like they didn't overdo it.
No, there's always
I can follow, like I can definitely follow what's happening. And like that fight sequence with Bucky too. Yeah. Every time I'm waiting for him to do the knife flip, you know,
dude, I learned the whole like the thing where you like started like a thing and then you flip it. Oh my god. That's what I've been playing.
Every time I see it, I'm like, whoa, he did it. That's so cool. I wish I could do that. But yeah, oh my gosh. So the Winter Soldier, let's talk about the Winter Soldier himself. I mean, he just as much as the word is thrown around these days, he just emanates this aura, you know, like,
dear God.
I mean, tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
When he was like, when the Winter Soldier was still the Winter Soldier, he was dangerous, dude. Like, he walks on screen, you hear the, you know, and it's just so threatening. He's menacing, and he's walking up. You're like, he's like the Terminator, man.
Yeah,
it's man.
I think he had like the coolest intro in the first, like in Winter Soldier too, because like with Nick Fury and that whole car chase and everything.
Another great action scene.
Perfect thing, and just like the siren just starts, and you're like, what the hell is going on? This dude pops out of smoke, and he's just standing there, like all black, gray.
He shoots the thing. Like, it goes under the car, flips over, and he just coolly steps to the side. Right. It's the coolest thing you've ever seen.
Chills every time. I watched Marvel really late, so like the way I watched the movies, it was really bad. The first one I remember watching was Guardians, and then the second one I watched was Infinity War with my friend. I had no idea what was going on. I know, isn't that amazing? I came over because like it's like whatever 8th grade. I was in 8th grade, and I come over to her place just to hang out, and she's like, "Have you seen Infinity War?" I was like, "I don't even know what that is." She's like, "You're watching it with me," and I was like, "Okay." And she's like, "It's my new favorite movie." I was like, "Cool." And so I watch it. The whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm so confused.
Who's
dude.
that? What is this? What's happening?
I was at the whole time, and when I remember so vividly when Bucky came out of his little hut, he's feeding his sheep, whatever. My friend Sarah, she points at it. She's like, "Guess who that is?" And I was like, "Jesus? I don't know." I was like, "Hello?" I was like, "He's got the long hair. He's messy. I don't know. He's Jesus." She's like, she laughed so hard. I was like, "He's gotta." But just so I watched all of this.
Sebastian Stan? Or...
Yeah, I know, right? I watched all of the Marvel movies in 2020. So I remember watching Winter Soldier the first time, or no, the first Captain America, and when Bucky fell, I was so confused. I was like, he was in Infinity War, though. I didn't say that to them, obviously. Yeah. I was like, hold on. And then we watched Winter Soldier, and this dude pops up, and like I was like, there's no way. I was like, that has to be him. But and then the whole like reveal and everything, like the second he took off his glasses, I was like, oh my god, it's him. It's crazy. the whole like it's still every time I watch it, I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Even though I know exactly who it is.
Right, it's such a good reveal, and like all the comic readers know what's coming,
Right.
but like if you don't, it's so great.
It's
And
amazing.
I do think it is funny. So Bucky in the comics was like Captain America's sidekick back in World
Yeah.
War II. Like
Hmm.
in World War II, when Captain
Yeah.
America comics were like these golden age World War II propaganda pieces,
Yeah.
right? Like he was the Robin to his Batman,
Yeah.
and I guess he just died one day or something. I don't know, but
Or
for the longest time, there was like the joke was nobody dies permanently in comics except
hmm
Uncle Ben, Bucky, and Jason Todd, who was the second Robin.
yeah.
And now Jason Todd and Bucky have both come back to life, first as villains for their heroes, and now
Hmm.
as like allies. And it's
And
a
Uncle
thing.
Ben's just screwed.
Uncle Ben's cooked. He's done. But yeah, it's such a great reveal. And they do so, like you said, his arc throughout. Like first, he's Steve's friend, and then
Hmm.
second, this. He's like the Terminator, right? He's this
Yeah.
kind of emotionless, hollow weapon. But then at the very end of the movie, he doesn't complete its mission, right? He saves Steve, drags him out
Yeah.
of the river, and then finally, Civil War happens. Steve finds him, and he's getting his memories back finally.
Yeah.
And Zemo screws everything up. And
Thanks.
yeah, and then by I guess Infinity War, he's all good.
You can see he's tired of it too. Like in Infinity War, when he like gets a new arm, he's like, "All right."
Here we go again with
He's like,
this
"Where's
with
the
this guy.
fight? Where are we going?"
Yeah,
But
and
I loved, as much as people can kind of hate on it, I loved the show, The Falcon Winter Soldier.
mm,
I think his arc was really, really good in that too, because I remember the argument of people being like, it should have been Bucky who got the shield instead of Sam. Um, but I think it could only be Sam and nobody else.
yeah,
And with
which is
this show
fair.
too, it showed that and also showed how Bucky will always like be the number one supporter of whoever.
Mhm.
Um, and oh my god, the one scene where you can see him testing the words with the
Yeah, I was thinking about that
oh
as I
my
was watching
god.
Civil War again and Winter
Like
Soldier.
right, yeah. I get chills from that cuz one, Sebastian Stan's acting is insane.
Mm.
Underrated. Like the fact that he's finally
He's
now
so
winning
good.
stuff,
I'm so
like
glad he's getting
finally.
recognition.
I screamed. I was watching the Golden Globes
Mm.
at my friend's house and just had like an earbud and it was more like in the background. And the second they announced his like name, like just as nominations, I started crossing my fingers just as a joke. I was like, "There's no way,"
Mm.
but like still. And they said it. I literally jumped up and I started jumping. And all my sorority sisters like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Sebastian Stan just won a Golden Globe." And one of them, who's obsessed with Marvel, just like me, she starts screaming. She's like, "There's no way! There's no way!" Which
Yeah,
is
no, he
so
deserves the
cool.
world. I
Oh my
love him.
god.
But yeah, like you mentioned, there's the show, and I loved parts of it. Other parts I
Yeah.
did not love.
I'll agree with
But
that.
yeah, and now Thunderbolts is coming fairly soon. We're gonna get to see Bucky again.
I'm
I'm
just
very
confused.
excited.
I'm
I'm
very
very
confused with what he's doing. Like,
yeah. I don't know. We'll find out. We get to see him again. I wasn't excited for this movie, but it's written by the writers of The Bear, so it'll probably be good.
Thunderbolts?
Yeah. Oh, wait, I didn't tell you that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the writers of The Bear wrote Thunderbolts.
Oh, I'm so gonna watch this now.
I know. Yeah, like
Oh,
it went from like my least excited Marvel
yeah.
thing of 2025 to
hmm
probably my second most. Daredevil's coming out soon.
I don't know. Fantastic Four looks really good. I'm really
It
excited about
looks
that.
okay. I'm excited.
I think that's such a cool cast. I was not expecting any of
Yeah,
it, but seeing the trailer, I was like, that
I
works
think
really
it
well.
works really well. Yeah.
Hmm.
I think Pedro's gonna be great. Vanessa Kirby's gonna be great.
Mm.
I'm still not wholly totally sold I know he's a great actor, but I'm not totally sold on Joseph Quinn as Human Torch.
I've never been a fan of him. Like, I just can't.
Hmm.
I don't know. He Stranger Things. He just annoyed the hell out of me.
Be careful. The
Like,
the Eddie fans are gonna
oh my god,
murder you.
I couldn't care less. I could not care less.
Which isn't
I
that show
remember all
supposed to?
that.
Is that
No,
last season coming out this
that's
summer?
this summer. This
Oh my
summer.
gosh, that's crazy.
I can't believe that either. Holy crap!
But yeah,
But
anyway, Joseph Quinn.
yeah, I think he'll be okay.
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know about it. I just know that Chris Evans is always the best one. Like he was really, really cool.
Yeah.
But the guy who's gonna
Did you
play,
watch the original Fantastic Four?
no, I just always see the scenes, and
Mm.
he's like nobody else. Like he's cool. But oh my god, who's the other guy? Like Eben, whatever.
Yeah, Ebon Moss
Yeah,
Backrack. I probably butchered that, but
hmm
it's fine.
totally. I
Yeah,
loved
I
him
think he's
so
gonna
much
do
in The Bear.
wonderful. He was
So
amazing.
yeah,
He might be my favorite character in The Bear. I think
absolutely.
he's gonna do great in as the Thing.
Hmm.
Um, I think the design is wonderful. The CGI could be a little better,
Yeah.
but they'll probably polish it
Hmm.
up. I don't know. Yeah, like yeah, some people are like critiquing it. Some people are critiquing the people who are critiquing it,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it's a great design. It's a wonderful design. But I'm like very aware. I'm
That
watching.
looks a little
It's
animated.
no
Yeah.
Avatar,
No. Oh
but in
man.
any case,
But yeah, Bucky and Thunderbolts, I'm really excited about.
yeah,
I don't know, cause like we haven't seen him in anything since Falcon Winter Soldier, and that's been
that's right.
like
It's been a
what year did
couple
that come
years,
out? That yeah, it's been a couple years, but
because especially since Marvel like slowed down. Finally,
yeah, geez.
but
But the trailer made it look like he was like not like terrible, but it was also like he had his gun thing again. He's over here like killing a bunch of people, and I was like,
yeah, they're
what is
probably bad
happening?
guys. It's fine.
I don't want him to be a bad guy. I was fine with him being a good guy.
Yeah, no,
Oh
I
well.
think he's killing bad guys. So
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were saying he was gonna be a bad
No,
guy.
no,
Never
no, no.
mind.
I don't think they'll. I don't think they'd do that to him. I hope.
I swear
Oh
to
Lord,
God.
let him be happy.
I swear to God.
He's been through too much. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. This movie though, I like how you kind of have this motif between 2 and 3 in the Cap trilogy with
Hmm.
Peggy, who is so prominent in the first movie. She gets a scene at least.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, of course, she dies off screen between just before Civil War, and
Hmm.
he's at the funeral. He's a pallbearer, but she still kind of has this presence. Like his decisions are very much based on like what he would do for her and for everybody.
Yeah. Sorry, my like Zoom just like froze for like a whole minute.
Oh, jeez.
Sorry.
It's all good. I was talking about how I mean it's really interesting because in Civil War I mean he's still throughout the whole thing he maintains who he is inside
Yeah.
because that's like the message Erskine which what another thing I noticed with the first Avenger is like it's a very good sort of prototypical hero's journey story.
Hmm.
Like I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's got
No,
all
yeah,
those
yeah,
steps. Like
yeah.
meeting the mentor
Hmm.
departs, leaves him with one
Yep.
final message lesson. And for Erskine, who's obviously the mentor, his final lesson was just pointing at Steve's chest, like his heart.
Yeah.
Just don't forget who you are. What's inside you is what matters, right?
Yep.
And he never forgets that lesson. He stays true to himself.
Hmm.
Uh, through fighting Shield and through saving Bucky and fighting the Sokovia Accords.
Hmm.
He's maintaining that part of himself, and that's wonderful. That's what makes Captain America, right?
Yeah.
And by the end of it, he's still this scrawny little kid from Brooklyn, fighting for what he believes in. But he's
Hmm.
just so much more disillusioned and done with the system, with the world, and everything that it's been throwing at him.
Yeah.
which is why like when we finally see him again in Infinity War, he's grown his beard out. He's wearing an all black costume. He's
He's
not
like, I'm
fighting
done
with this.
asking for forgiveness
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff. Ugh.
he's not fighting for the
Hardest
Stars and
line.
Stripes anymore. It's oh man, I need to watch the Avengers movies again too.
I
I
know. I
this
literally
just
watched the
oh
first and the second one last night. They were so good.
love them,
But
love them, love them. But yeah, like a large part of that disillusionment was in Winter Soldier when he like first it's even before he finds out about Hydra, when Nick Fury is just proposing the idea of having these helicarriers flying above Earth, you know, basically
mhm,
putting a gun to everyone's head. He's not
right.
okay with that. Like
No.
this is just like he immediately sees how this is dangerous. This is just not good for society. But I mean, that's just the world we're living in at this point. I mean, it's very clear commentary.
Yeah.
Uh, the government just kind of this feeling of paranoia and stopping threats before it happens. Right? That's what Nick Fury says.
And he was saying, yeah, he was saying that, and then Steve responded. He's like, it's not, it's not freedom, it's fear. Like, none of this is gonna help. It's only gonna like make it all worse.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is like definitely hits today. Like when they're making all these new rules and everything for freedom, and now it's like, is it? Is it?
Right.
The more and more things happen today, the more and more it feels like a dystopian movie. Like, I swear to God, these plane crashes. Don't even get me started on those. Oh my God, this is mm mm going
It's
crazy.
it's a whole thing, and yeah, and generally in the past, like when I've felt like the MCU tries to get political, it's
Yeah.
not done a good job.
Mm-mm.
Like it's very ham-fisted. It's very distracting. Like it should never put it like when I don't know when I feel like it puts politics before the story.
Yeah.
It just makes the story bad
Mm-hmm.
and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't help anybody. But
No.
I thought Winter Soldier had a very very good balance
Yes. Very.
where it has a message to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's making a statement, and so is Civil War. It has a message. It's making a statement, but like that statement isn't getting in the way of good storytelling. You know?
Right. Yeah. It's not like the main focus. Like they try to still
Mm-hmm.
50-50, which they did really really good. Like the subtle hints and like the big moments where they would have those big heavy conversations, but then go
Yeah,
straight back to like the regular
like with
story.
Robert Redford talking about how like I don't know, talking like a Bond villain,
Mm-hmm.
sacrificing a few million for 7 billion, whatever.
Right. Which I thought
Uh,
I was like, how is this something casually talked about?
yeah.
It's like, okay.
It's awesome that they got Robert Redford to
Oh
just
my
be this
God.
random villain, dude.
This is
He
the
does a
first
great
thing.
job. Apparently he only took the role because his grandkids watch Marvel and he wanted to be in something they could watch. Which I think is sweet.
I was like the first thing I ever saw Robert Redford in, and then
Yeah, I
like
think it was for me too.
literally it was oh, what was it? I don't know. My dad put on some random movie that was like on live TV, and it was an old western movie that
Butch
Robert was
Cassidy and the
in.
Sundance
I
Kid
think so.
with Paul
Um,
Newman,
I have no idea. It was, yeah, I'm sure.
Doc Hudson.
But he turned it on, and I was like, I'm watching for like a quick second. I was like, it's that guy. I was like,
Secretary
I've seen that.
Pierce.
That one, he's also, the
Back when he was
game.
hot.
Oh, sure. The game like categories, like when you play in the pool, where like somebody obviously a category you pick a name. So I was always the one to pick the most ridiculous names and stuff like that. Like me and my sisters, we do like Harry Potter characters or like Marvel characters. Pierce was always the one I picked because they never remembered him. I was like, yep, y'all are never gonna get this one. Which just random thought. Just remembered.
That's fun. But he's a good. I mean, it's unique because there's not really like the main antagonist isn't some big supervillain.
Mm.
It's I mean, it's just this guy basically,
Yeah.
uh, who is part of Hydra. I mean, Hydra is the villain basically,
Yeah.
and I guess you could make a case for Bucky being like the super villain of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, but he's more of a tool than anything else. He's like the Terminator. He's just a more of a force than a person.
Hmm.
And same with Civil War, like another welcome departure from the usual MCU formula because it's not a world-ending threat.
Hmm.
It's just the Avengers fighting each other, and it's
Right.
awesome. That's still one of the. I mean, this whole trilogy, I think, are still some of the best movies in the MCU.
I think it's the best trilogy, period. Like,
That's not ridiculous. I think
Thor is
Guardians just
just,
edges it out,
yeah. And
but
Thor is just terrible altogether. Um, the only good one being Ragnarok.
I
And
actually quite like the first Thor.
really, I don't like it at
Yeah.
all. I just like, I don't know. There's something about his hair. It's so funny looking to
Hmm.
me. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
well, his eyebrows are dyed for some
Yeah.
reason.
Um,
But yeah, no, I think it's very charming. Like it has this almost Shakespearean quality about it.
yeah, I
Like
can see that. Yeah.
the I don't know, just the epic proportions. It's very cool, and it's Loki's first appearance. Anthony Hopkins. It's very cheesy, but it's not afraid to be cheesy.
Hmm. Hmm.
I still love when he smashes his glass on the ground and goes another.
Yeah. I also like,
But yeah,
if I'm gonna be honest, this is like kind of a hot take. I like Dark World more than the first Thor.
really.
Yeah, I don't know
Wow.
why. I just love well, mainly like Loki in this one was really really good.
Hmm.
But then I don't know. Like something about it just hits different with me. Like than the first one. It's
I
not
yeah
good. It's not great, but like still I'd rather watch that one
I
than the
saw
first
it once years ago, and I didn't
one. Mhm.
even like it then when I was a stupid kid who liked everything.
Right.
So I'm kind of scared to check it out again.
It's fair.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Phase One Marvel definitely had this like just this really charming, unique, kind of almost scrappy energy about it.
Absolutely.
And I love it for that. And then you have Phase Two Marvel, which I believe that's where Winter Soldier Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
before Age of Ultron.
Hmm.
Phase Two Marvel also has this like very. I mean, it's just these vibes of the MCU. I'm not sure how I'd describe it, but like the MCU was had like I think it had found its footing by this point. I think by the first
Yeah.
Avengers, they'd figured out what they're doing,
Hmm.
and they're smooth sailing from there. Which is why they're because they'd been able to set up this formula for so long with Phase One. That's why they were able to do this departure from said formula
Yeah.
with Winter Soldier,
Hmm.
and that's why it works so well, or at least partially. I don't know. Phase Two Marvel. Any and while we're at it, Phase Three I think was probably Marvel at its peak. Um,
Absolutely.
like I said, the characterization, which is really the main thing that keeps people coming back, was probably
Hmm.
at its best there. But which, of course, not to say it wasn't great throughout as well.
No,
Uh,
definitely. But
but yeah,
all three of these phases, like you said, with the characters and everything, they just like people. I don't know, like people connect to them so much, or just like them for no
yeah,
reason. Like it's funny. People are like the comfort characters, and then they end up being like the worst ones. Like my comfort characters are literally Loki and Bucky. They have no comfort at all. Like they're
no, they're
kind of,
miserable.
they're
Everything's
miserable.
bad.
But like, there's
It's like,
something
at least
about
I'm not
them.
that guy.
Right, yeah. Like something about them, they just like I keep going back and watching those movies. Like it's why I keep watching like Dark World. Like I love Loki in that. I will keep watching that just for
Yeah.
him. But like I will watch like all the Bucky things, everything. But I think all three of those phases they just have something that makes everybody want to go back.
Oh
And
yeah.
especially like Endgame and like even the like first Avengers, whatever. Um and just now after like they just lost that characterization
Yeah.
after like some of the shows like WandaVision and Loki were really good
Oh yeah.
and after everything else just dropped.
Of
That
course.
was it.
And the Cap movies too. I mean, weren't they? Correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't remember the release order exactly, but I feel like they were always like the last movie to come out before a new Avengers, right? Maybe not always, but like
Mm,
maybe I'm completely wrong. because but I don't know. But Winter Soldier leads directly into Age of Ultron because you have
Yeah.
Shield getting torn apart, and you have the end credit scene where they tease Wanda and Pietro.
Yep.
So that's all real cool. Oh yeah, because at the end credit scene of the first Captain America was just a trailer for Avengers.
Yeah, it was. I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
Hmm.
I think wasn't that no, never mind. I thought Iron Man did that too, but they did something else. They did it for Hulk.
Yeah.
No, I think what was it? I think it's just those two. I think Captain America was like in
Yeah.
the middle, and then um now technically you can watch Black Widow after that. Um
True.
which that one doesn't make sense to me. Like I get it takes after, but like once you watch the end credit scene, people are gonna be like, what the fuck? You know?
Hmm.
Like if new fans watch that, like I just that wouldn't make sense to me anyway. But
I haven't watched Black Widow since like it came out. I don't really feel an urge to.
no, that's fair.
uh, I did love Natasha in Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm. Oh
I
yeah,
like
love
she
her.
has like this kind of weird flirty coworker sort of attitude with Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the scene where I think she provides a lot of like comic relief, weirdly enough, considering
Oh
she's
yeah.
like kind of a dark character.
I liked
Um,
her a lot.
but it doesn't feel out of character at any moment,
Mm-mm.
I don't think.
Because she was even like that with like Tony at some points.
Right.
Like that's just her. And but I think they had great moments. I was one of
They
the
had
people who were
like
like they should have been
one
together.
of the things the MCU's always done almost perfectly has been casting, and they
Yes.
all have this amazing chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson like wrote a lot of the dialogue their characters have together, which I mean, it just flows so well because
Yeah.
they know each other so well, they know their characters so well. The casting's perfect.
I think that's also with like these like the first three phases, like what hits wrong with like the newest one is they're introducing way too many new characters and like not sticking with like building anybody.
Yeah,
Like with phase one, phase two, and phase three, they stuck with the main six, but then introduced like maybe one more or maybe a second, and then that was it. And then they ended up having like a whole bunch of people, and then like they
yeah.
all died, and now here comes oh like here's 20 new characters, and here's a show for each one of them. Like no, absolutely not. Like with the and the casting too, like now it's just kind of like I
Let's
haven't
put this
there
celebrity in
hasn't been a
this role.
perfect one. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
the one
some
I
might.
will argue for, I love Oscar Isaac, Moon Knight. Like I think
True.
he's perfect.
That's brilliant. Yeah, he's wonderful in that role.
But the others just
Um,
don't hit as well as
Nothing's
like Chris
really
Evans or
hit.
RDJ.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think. I do really love shoot Wyatt Russell as John Walker.
Yeah. He's really cool.
And you were talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier earlier.
Mhm.
So a lot of people were hating on him for that,
They're
bullying him off
saying death
social
threat.
media. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I still think he was one of my favorite parts of that show. I think he was a
Really.
very realistic character.
He was interesting.
He was fascinating, man.
So cool.
And I mean, I was thinking today as I was watching Civil War again, just like some of the imagery they're able to do with the Captain America shield. I love
Yeah.
that like T'Challa scratches it, and those scratches are there like
Hmm.
permanently
Yeah.
from then on. Uh, until like Steve does whatever in Endgame and gives it back. But anyway, the scratches are there, and I love this image of like this scratched American symbol, right?
Yeah.
And then they do the symbolism thing again in Falcon and the Winter Soldier with when he beats the
The
guy to death with
blood.
the shield, the
It's
blood
like
all
the
over it.
pan up
It's
and
such a
everything.
good
It's
image.
so
It's like
cool.
I have a lot of problems with that show. That
Hmm.
scene is not one of them. It's so well done.
Oh my god, his character, like you said, his character is so
He's
interesting.
another one I'm so excited to see again in
Yeah,
Thunderbolts.
I remember like being absolutely pissed when I watched it, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, I would have done the same thing.
Right,
That's the best
right.
friend,
I mean, they're terrorists, and
right?
they killed his best friend.
Yeah.
He didn't. I'm
Now,
not gonna say he did nothing wrong,
is that a good look?
but
No, absolutely not. But did he do the most realistic thing
I mean, I
ever?
feel like
Yeah.
you can't defend Tony's actions in Civil War and then condemn John's actions in Falcon and the Winter
Right.
Soldier.
Yeah.
That's a whole other conversation. Which
Mm.
were you Team Iron Man or Team Cap?
Team Cap all the way.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
I've been
Good.
like literally like we were talking about this the other day with some of my friends, and this guy, I was like, we were talking about Marvel, and he said he liked Iron Man a lot, and I looked at him, I was like, are you Team Cap or Iron Man? And he's like, oh, don't worry, I was Team Cap. I was like, thank
Good.
you.
Good.
I was like, because just
Yeah,
I
that's the
know,
thing.
and I
People.
know somebody from high school who was big on Team Iron Man. And I was like,
Mhm.
I just don't
Yeah,
understand that.
no, people love to bring up how like he hid the fact Bucky killed his parents from him,
Right. But like,
but I mean, I don't. I feel like that's not outrageous, and that's like not what the central argument of the movie is either.
it's
It's
not. The whole argument is about the
like, should the
Sokovia Accord.
government control superheroes?
Yeah.
And like, they've definitely proved why the government shouldn't control superhero. I mean, look
Hmm.
at the boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, well, that's a corporation, close enough. But yeah, okay. I'm glad we're on the same page there.
No, because yeah, and that's also what's great with like Steve's character because he sticks with it through the whole time, no
Yeah,
matter what is brought up. Like Tony keeps doing it, and he's like with the fighting and everything, but he's like nothing you can tell me like will change my mind. Like
yeah.
it's
And
wrong.
I do like how, even though it is Cap's movie, Civil
Hmm.
War, they don't necessarily take a side. They kind of let you, like, that's why so many people are so divided on this,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that's why it's such a great talking point all these years later.
Yeah. What was really great, I remember when She-Hulk came out. I never watched it, but I remember being on Twitter one day and there was an episode where Daredevil comes in and
I
how
watched that episode
he
and no
brings
other
up that
episode.
Sokovia Accords were like overruled or whatever it was. Whatever. Basically, like the whole it was like basically the whole movie was unnecessary. Like Tony was in the wrong. We all knew this. Team Cap was
Hmm,
right. So I sent that to my friend in high school. I was like, "Look at you." I was like,
hmm,
"You've been supporting this guy whole time just to be proven wrong." He's like, "Nope, still Team Iron Man." I was like, "That
hmm.
doesn't make any sense."
Whatever. Yeah.
Anyway, but still, it's yeah. I like you said, like how the movie does a great job of like having no bias and like they didn't really go deep into each side. They kind of just brought it up in the middle, and then you can see that both of them were very passionate, like sticking to the side.
Mhm.
They didn't really like
The
explain
way
it, but still.
I saw something recently that explained it in a really interesting way.
Hmm.
How Steve and Tony are friends, obviously,
Yeah,
but like they're just so fundamentally different
yeah,
in their ideologies and like their values. Because you look at Steve's origin, right? You have
hmm,
Erskine pointing at his chest to remember like what's inside him, what's already there is important.
yes,
Tradition is important, and being true to yourself, right?
hmm,
Tony's origin, he gets a new heart.
yeah,
He learns how to, he has to, moving forward is the best way to go about things.
hmm, hmm,
Innovation is how we're going to get peace and whatnot.
hmm,
So it's these two completely different standpoints, and they'd been arguing and whatnot since the first Avengers,
right.
and it finally comes to this head in Civil War, and they did such a great job of building that conflict up until finally it comes here. I love it. I love it so much.
I think it's so great, especially like yeah, like they just nab heads the whole time. Like the first one, like they're like, oh, let's fight, let's do it. Like why not? And the second one, they're sort of getting along until like Tony decides to build Ultron and everything. So it's kind of like, dude, what are you doing? And this one, they're both just like tired. They're done. They're like, all right, we're doing this now.
Yeah, which his fault, by the
Yeah,
way, Ultron.
absolutely,
But
absolutely. I love Tony, but he's stupid for a lot of
yeah,
things.
yeah, all the time, all the time. Yeah. I don't even. Should I even title this one Winter Soldier? Or should I just title it Captain America? Because
I don't know because now it seems like we're talking about both. Yeah, for all of them.
I feel like we've talked a pretty even amount.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll title it whatever. Nobody cares. Nobody watches this.
that's crazy.
That's not true. Shout out fans. Shout out Pulp Diction listeners. Yeah, so I asked somebody. I know somebody who wrote an essay about Marvel movies.
Okay.
So, and I can talk about this because she's not going to listen to it. I asked her if she wanted to do this episode, and she, at first, she said okay, but
Hmm.
then she said she was too scared.
Okay. Love.
So, yeah, there's too much pressure. Is there a lot of pressure being on the podcast, do you think?
I don't
Am
know.
I scary? Do I scare you? Am I a scary person?
You can be weird. Maybe it's just that.
Okay, that's enough of that.
I don't know. Do you know this girl like really well
Yeah,
or
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Then I don't know. Then
No, she's not a random person.
okay, I thought it was like some random girl you just like had class with, or like you want to be on the episode,
I mean, I have classes
right?
with
Yeah,
her, but like we talk
yeah.
often.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know. It's whatever. I made fun of her for it very heavily, and I felt a little bad, but
that's funny.
what are you gonna do? And I guess like we can probably. I don't have much more. I like that. I think it's cool that they brought the Russos on to direct this. I don't think
Yeah,
they're the most artful directors in the world, but they know how to get their point across. Like they know how to
they're definitely
show
good
action.
action. They're yeah, action movies are good.
Yeah. It's funny to me because they, I believe, got their start on directing, or at least what brought them to to Marvel's attention or Feige's attention or whatever was. Do you know this show Community?
I've heard of it. Yeah,
Yeah. So it's this sitcom at a community college,
yeah.
basically. And there's this episode, or there are a few episodes, where it's like a paintball war at the community college, and it plays out like an action movie, and it's awesome.
Okay.
And the Russo brothers made them.
Oh my
And
god,
I'm pretty sure that's what got them on Marvel's radar.
stop.
And
That's
they're like some of the
amazing.
best episodes of the show, too.
I
Like, I would highly, like, if you watch any of Community, watch the paintball episodes.
got you. They'll do that.
But they're so good.
That's so
It's
funny.
such a good show. And, I don't know that I have too much more to say.
I don't think I got anything else.
Awesome. Yeah. Maybe I'll get this out by the time the new one comes out. Probably not.
By
We'll
Friday?
see. By Friday? Maybe. We'll see. I got homework to do, but I don't feel like doing it right now since I don't have school tomorrow.
Me neither.
But in any case, thanks for listening and or watching Pulp Dictors. We're,
Okay.
we'll work on the name. And remember to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Hit us with a follow on Spotify. Maybe I'll try to find my Apple account login so I can put it on Apple Podcasts finally.
Oh my god.
Maybe,
You got
probably
it.
not.
You got it.
Um, and we'll catch you on the next one.